All right, so I just saw one of the funniest movies I have seen in quite some time. So it is, as you can see from the title, Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul, starring Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown. And this film, okay, first let me tell you, if you haven't seen the film yet, you might not want to watch my review because I have some thoughts and I am going into details about a lot that was revealed in the story. So yeah, maybe you want to come back to this after you've seen the movie, unless you don't care about being spoiled. So there's that. You've been warned. All right, so Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul is about, hello, my name is Tamika, and whether you stumbled upon Junkie for a story or are here by intention, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a like and subscribe by the end of the video, and hit the bell for notifications so you won't miss new videos when they are released. And now, on to the video. About a pastor who has fallen from grace when a scandal involving sex with late teens and 20-something young men in his congregation is exposed. So a lawsuit happens and he closes his mega church as a result of this. Fast forward to a year and a half later, Pastor Lee Curtis Childs and his wife, First Lady Trinity Childs, they document the reopening of their mega church in Atlanta, Georgia. And let's just say it does not reflect an auspicious comeback, okay? So you have the cast, okay? As I mentioned, Regina Hall, Sterling K. Brown. I'm trying to think if I noticed any other familiar faces, but I don't think there was any others, but the cast was fantastic in this, and they definitely captured the bless your heart nicety that happens within the church culture. Okay, so my favorite singer, Monica, said you have church folk and then you have Christians. And I think the bless your heart people, those are church folks, okay? But anyway, it definitely nailed that, I will say. So the plot is very interesting, okay, because it it exposes how cross cultures influence the church in negative ways, you know. So there's a number of different scenes I could point to, but the main one that comes to mind is when Pastor Lee Curtis Childs, he is in the middle of his sermon and then he just starts to strip down, and it almost feels like you're watching a D'Angelo or R. Kelly video or something. I mean, he stripped down to get baptized. I mean, but to me, it just spoke to how people from the hip hop and R&B culture, they kind of got their foot in both doors, you know, this gospel and Christian life, but then they also are over here doing this love-making music and all of that stuff. It really blended the two together in a very subtle, well, was it subtle? It's subtle in the sense that I don't know if everyone picked up on or everyone interpreted it the way I did, because the way I interpreted it, it reminded me of how a lot of R&B folks, a lot of those performers say that they were brought up in the church, and then you see what they turn out as far as music, and it doesn't, it's not the word, okay? It is not the word. So, I mean, it talks about that hypocrisy, or not talks about it, but it shines a light on the hypocrisy within the church. But also it shines a light on how churches and the pastors and, you know, everyone involved, they preach and profess this heterosexual marriage agenda while doing other things behind closed doors, you know, because the pastor got caught up in that scandal. And then he is preaching this sermon about heterosexual marriage. And it just reminded me of how dangerous that message is and how it is complicit in the spread of STDs, STIs, and all of that stuff, because people feel forced to hide their sexualities and therefore exposing themselves to others. So that preaching causes a lot of damage within the community. And I like the way they did that. I like that and I will say in this movie, it wasn't preachy. Like, it wasn't trying too hard to tell you what to think. It just sort of takes surveillance of what is happening in the church, okay? But it's not like telling you what to think, okay? But yeah, I definitely picked up on that. And then, I mean, it also reminded me of how some people go from the music industry into pastorship and taking a role in the church. And sometimes sometimes it's not a good look, I'll say. Certain people do it and they just don't have the calling. And it also shows how hustle culture has influenced the church as well, because there's another couple who kind of is like a replica of Pastor Lee Curtis Childs and Trinity, First Lady. There's another couple in the movie who kind of is aspiring to be them, basically. This second couple, they open up a church, and as an opportunity when their church closes, this second couple opens a church, and they just take in the child's congregation. And it just shows how some people are driven and motivated by money and materialistic things. And also, it shined a light on how materialistic Pastor Lee Curtis Childs is, because he definitely was flamboyant and ostentatious in his attire. But I noticed he did not want First Lady Trinity to outshine him. So there's a point where she wants this hat. And, you know, I thought the hat was cute, but he kept going on and on and on about this hat, and he wanted her to take off the hat. But to me, what it was signaling is that he don't want her to outshine him. He was saying that the hat was ugly, but I think that was reverse psychology meant to suppress her voice and her position as First Lady so that he is at the forefront and everyone is looking at him. I think there was some insecurity there on his part. And I think that's what the story was trying to convey to the audience, how the pastors of the church, they want all the attention and all the focus to be on them. And First Lady Trinity, she kind of was like a silent victim. I mean, it would have been better. She had this monologue at the end of the movie. Yeah, there was this monologue at the end of the movie, but it kind of made her come off as vain and self-centered. And I think if it was, I think it was meant to paint her as sympathetic and like an ignored hero, but it just didn't, it was so pronounced that I think it didn't do what it intended to do. So as far as how this movie will be received, I don't think it's for everyone, okay? Some people might consider it blasphemy. It is satire, right? But because it is centered around the church, mega church, and that life, that culture, some people may be offended by this. You know? So, yeah, you got to be in a certain place to watch this movie, okay? Because if you feel like you're the person that they're laughing at, then you won't like this movie. But it is satire, so while being truthful. But I can see some people having issues with this film, but I think it was very truthful about that whole culture and how the mega church has become the Christian hustle, you know, like, I mean, it kind of reminded me of, well, it reminded me of a lot of different scandals that have happened in recent years. But more recently, I think this year, there was a pastor, I think in New York, in Brooklyn, New York, who was robbed. I don't know if he was robbed at gunpoint, but he was robbed when he had on all his jewelry and he's just flossing in front of his congregation. And yeah, when you choose to flaunt yourself like that, especially around certain people, you put yourself at risk. So, yeah. And this really captures the fall from grace that some people experience, because it didn't make it look pretty. It didn't make it look auspicious. You know, they fell from grace, and they definitely show. So it's a documentary style caption of their comeback. And Anita is one of the characters. She's one that we never see, but we hear her in the movie because she's the documentarist who is filming their comeback. So she is capturing everything. And at one point they do, because they're not getting the response they expect about their reopening of the church and the first Sunday back. So then Pastor Lee Curtis Childs, he decides to take it out to the streets, right? And they have like a roadside ministry thing happening. And they bring out the Black Jesus, you know, hence the Honk For Jesus, right? So they do that. And I mean, it doesn't look pretty. This is not one of those, oh, everything's going to be okay, and then they get their church back and they're living their lives. It's not that. It is not that at all. And I was surprised by the ending, because I thought the ending was going to be like a cookie cutter, happily ever after kind of ending, but it doesn't go in that direction. Okay, so I don't know. I really enjoyed this film, but I see the reviews. I don't know if it's because people are offended because, I don't know. but the reviews are not that good, okay? So I think it was a pretty funny movie. I hope everyone will go see it. And it was the directorial debut of Adama Ebo. I think that's how you say the director's name, but she, is it a she? I'm not sure if it's a she or a he. I'll say they. They wrote, directed, and produced this film. And yeah, I think they did a great job, okay? It definitely captured, I wouldn't say all of the church culture. I'm not saying every church is like that, but I think what gets attention, it captured that. The mega churches and pastors who get most of the spotlight and what we see on social media and in the news, whatever, it captured that aspect of the mega church. So yeah, I would recommend you go see this film and let me know what you think about it, because it was quite interesting and entertaining, okay? But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. So like, comment, subscribe if you choose. And yeah, tell me if you saw this movie and tell me your thoughts on it. Do you agree with what I had to say about it? Or do you disagree with what I had to say about it? I don't mind talking about it, okay? Let's talk. So, but let's be friendly now. Keep it friendly. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that film. Honk for Jesus, save your soul. Anyway, oh, and I do have another video you might be interested in that's also Christian satire. So I will put it here for you guys to take a look at that if you're interested. But yeah, anyway, I hope you're having a good one, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching and listening, and bye.